Hello to everyone. Thank you all for joining me at this time. My name is Shavi Zane, and I'm coming on to do a message. As you all can see from the title, it is called the Bible Thumping Condemner. Okay, a message for the Bible Thumping Condemner. Now, I specifically entitled this message with that particular title because one thing that I'm coming to find, especially now that we are in the time of the awakening, is that there is a division that is becoming more and more apparent. Okay. And this division consists of people who are very strictly bound to religion. They're very strictly bound to biblical texts. And that's the whole of who they are in terms of their connection to the Most High. And then you have those who are at the crossroads. They probably don't know which direction to go into, so they're kind of in the middle. And then you have those on the other end who understand that the Most High cannot be compartmentalized into anyone's box. Now, I'm specifically speaking in regards to those who are very strictly tied down and bound to biblical texts. This book right here. And yes, I do possess one, okay? This book right here is about this thick. It's definitely missing most of the text that was here originally, okay? But most people possess at least the King James, this is the 1611 King James Version, or the New Testament, or the newly advised. There's so many different revisions. It's probably over 50 different types of Bibles. And those people who are strictly bound to religion have a tendency to say that everything that the Most High is comprised of is right here in this text. Now, some of you might say, well, there's nothing wrong with that. And I would hope that you're not in that mindset, only because you have to, it's very important to understand that the creator of all things, the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end, infinitely, eternally in existence. How can you compartmentalize the creator who is so great into one text? How can one text define one who is infinite, eternal? When someone hands you a specific God and says, this is who the creator is, this is what the creator looks like, this is the text that you must read in order to learn about this creator. And if you step outside of the box that has been handed to you, then you're no longer in alignment with the creator. You are now moving into wickedness, and you will go to hell. When a person hands you that type of ideology, you better run like you ain't never ran before, okay? Because it's very clear. Let's just say that if the biblical text never existed, which there was a time in history, the majority of history, when biblical texts did not exist. I believe this text is probably about maybe 2,500 years old, okay? It's fairly young in comparison to the creator, the Most High, who has been here since forever, infinitely, never ending, the beginning, the end, forever. And then 2,000 to 3,000 years ago, you have people come in and they write texts and tell you, here, this is the Most High. You must follow this text in order to know who the Most High is. And if you seek outside of it, you have now crossed the line. You better run. Because too many of us have been bamboozled into believing that, for generations now, that the Most High is right here in this book. Not saying that some of the texts might not be inspired by people who had a divine connection to the Most High God. But the fact of the matter is, all of us have a potential to connect to the Most High. It all just depends on where you're at in your growth process spiritually, okay? We all possess the ability to hear from the Most High and to write inspired words based on our own connection. And then the question that I would ask is, let's say you sat down and decided, all right, I'm going to begin writing based on what I hear in terms of my connection. And you know that you have a connection with the Most High. You know that you're a child of the Most High God, and you know that you hear from the Most High. And you decide, okay, based on my inspired experience, I'm going to write. And I'm going to write this with the intention that I'm going to share it with the world. Now, some people will look at you and say, no, how dare you? What do you mean you're writing something and it's inspiration from the Most High? Did it come from the Bible? But wait, last time I checked, if the biblical text is what people have told you it is, which is people who have written based on inspired experiences, they've experienced the Most High, and they've received messages from the Most High, and they decided to write it out for the world to be able to reference generations to come, then you might want to go back and question Moses. You might want to question Paul. You might want to question Peter, James, John. You might even want to question Yeshua. Even though there's nothing here that would indicate that Yeshua ever wrote anything, okay? However, all of these people who were prophets of the biblical text, who say they wrote based on the inspiration that they received from the Most High God, who is anyone to question whether or not you yourself possesses that ability to hear from the Most High and then to translate it in a way where, okay, I want to express this to the world so they can understand my understanding, my connection, my experience. So if it's not approved by the Roman Catholic Church, if it's not approved by the Vatican, if it's not approved by the Pharisees, right? If they don't come in and say, well, yeah, we agree, that's the right thing. And if they don't come in and say, well, we're going to put it into a text and we're going to put it into what we might call a Bible, then suddenly everything that you've experienced is a lie because you don't have these people agreeing to that. The Most High God is infinite, never ending. And so when you consider that, then understand that each individual person, there's over 7 billion people on the planet. Each individual person has a unique experience with the Most High. And yes, it's unique largely because the Most High cannot be boxed in, because the Most High is all. And so if every single person in the world, let's just say the biblical text never existed, and every single person in the world went within, they cleansed their temple, they was purified, and they was in alignment. Chakras was balanced, everything was in alignment, right? And they had never been conditioned by society. They had never been placed underneath anyone else's fear tactics in terms of how they should believe in the Most High, what they should believe, All they did was just have that divine connection. They created the divine connection, and they all wrote inspired words based on their interpretation of their communication with the Most High. Every single account would be unique in its own right from each person. Who is the next man to tell you that your account is incorrect? When we're speaking on the Most High, the creator of all, who is infinite. Infinite possibilities exist because the Most High God cannot be boxed in. So all of those people collectively will come together, and the one thing that you'll be able to take away from that is the Most High God is defined in infinite ways. The Most High God is experienced in infinite ways. No one person, no one group of people, no one text can define the whole of who the Most High is. And this is where society has gone way left. Because the moment you decide, like I said, there's 3 different types of people. You have those who are strict and stuck and bounded and, chained down to religion and this text right here. Then you have those who are at the crossroads because they're trying to pull away from that. But at the same time, there's a fear that says, no, but if you go that way, then you're going to go to damnation. So you must stay stuck in this way of believing because this is the right way. Why is it the right way? Because this book told you that it's the right way. But then this book is also highly compromised. Those people who are highly bound to religion and who will tell you that you are condemned to hell because you see the Most High from a very expansive point of view. And you understand that there's many ways to be able to understand the Most High. Because first of all, the Most High shows you that nothing can define the essence of the Creator through nature. You'll take 2 blades of grass from one area, they in the same area, 2 blades of grass, they will not be the same. We're talking about grass here. You take 2 specks of sand, they will not be the same. You can even take 2 different atoms, they will not be the same. You might be able to find similarities, but there's going to be a difference in its vibrational scale. There's going to be a difference in terms of when it was created, the time that it was created. It's going to always be something different about it. You see what I'm saying? And so the problem that society has had is the fact that people have been so brainwashed into believing what has been told to them for many generations. And they have been brainwashed through fear, though. Fear is what has kept people chained and bound to the religious construct and to one specific text. Fear. Because many of you recall that in the religious structure, you was always told you better not ask no questions. Don't ask no questions, because if you ask questions, then you question God. Everything that you need, every answer that you need is right here in this book. I'd have to disagree, because my personal experience of connecting with the Most High came when I closed the book. My expansive understanding of who the Most High is came when I closed the book. Because at that point, what was left was for me to go within, to gather an understanding of who the Most High created me to be, and then to also get outside of the 4 walls, because that also creates a boxed in perspective when you stay indoors a lot. and you don't go out and actually connect with nature. I'm not talking about just going into nature. I'm talking about going out and connecting with nature. When you take notice and you listen to the sounds of the birds, when you take notice and you look at the different color spectrums of the trees and the flowers, and you pay attention to these things. You allow yourself to become one with these things. You recognize that the trees are alive, plants are alive. So when you make that divine connection with all things that exist, especially when you connect to nature, it shows you just how expansive the Most High is. And that's only a small, teeny, tiny fraction of the infinite possibilities of who the Most High is. When we're talking about nature, because consider, this is just one earth. This is the earth that we're talking about here. You got the outer space, the cosmos is infinite, never ending. So there's many, we got the planets that we can see here in this solar system, but there are many others, never ending. And so even your connection to nature and seeing how vast it is still small in comparison to understanding how great and how expansive the I am, the eternal, the infinite creator of all things is. So don't you let anybody in your awakening tell you, do not seek answers. Because the fact of the matter is, you will not know it all in this lifetime. You will not know it all in the next lifetime. You will never know it all, because if you knew it all, then you might as well be the all, right? We are constantly evolving beings, spirits having a human experience. And so the greatest thing that you can do in this lifetime is to work on becoming the most authentic version of yourself that is in direct alignment with the Most High. Okay? The most authentic, purified version of yourself. And I remember when I first came into my awakening, coming down this spiritual path that I'm on right now, the way that I was able to see the creator of all things was I was shown a vision. And the vision that I was shown was, we are all, I'm talking about the human beings, are all one speck. What I was shown was cells of the Most High, of the all, of the creator of all things. But even that is still limited, okay? Because when you talk about cells, our cells, the human body has billions of cells, right? And so consider the Most High God is infinite. And so if we were to be cells to the Most High God as human beings, then you'd have to consider, I'm gonna just tell you what I was shown, that we're cells of the greater whole, of the all, of the Most High, and that the planets, like we're on the microcosmic scale, but then the planets that are the macrocosmic scale would be the organs, right? But that's just the way that it was revealed to me. And then I was also shown that, yes, because I thought about it and I was like, okay, but if all of us are a particle, whether it's a cell, but some sort of piece of the all, then what about those who are here, those entities, those spirits that are here, that would not be in alignment with my understanding of the Most High? And I had to think about my own body as an individual. And as an individual, yes, you have invaders, you have energy that is not in alignment with you being the most purified version of yourself. And so you have certain defense mechanisms that comes in to attack what does not belong inside of your physical vessel. You have certain defense mechanisms, even as a spiritual being, that comes in to attack what does not belong as a spiritual entity. And so with that being said, I had to consider, yes, that there are different mechanisms that would be used if we was like particles or pieces of a greater body. Then yeah, over time, certain types of people would end up, it's like natural selection. If they're not in alignment with the growth, if they're not in alignment with the evolutionary process, and stepping into your divinity and all of these things, if they're not in alignment with the shifts that are happening, then yes, natural, elimination time would happen. They would get kicked out of there. There would be mechanisms that the body uses to eliminate energies that does not belong or that is in opposition to life. And so those energies and those human beings, or those beings, whatever you might want to call them, who decide to operate from a space of wickedness, there are shifts that takes place to ensure that even they get kicked out of the body in time, in divine timing, because the Most High is infinite. And so even in biblical text, it says, one day, I forgot what it said in terms of one day is like 100 years or something like that to the Most High. I may not be quoting it correctly, but it goes to show that even our time, we have compartmentalized time, and timing is fluid. It's not linear, but we've made it linear. Okay. I hope I'm making sense to you all, but that's what was shown to me in terms when I came into my awakening, how this whole thing really looks, at least from my perspective. And so if I had to write a text in terms of my personal experience with the Most High, it would express one that is infinite, that is never ending, that cannot be compartmentalized even through my own perception. And so that would be confirmed through across the whole globe, if no one was conditioned to believe one specific image, one specific text, one specific doctrine, and everyone came into this with just one divine connection, your own personal experience. And as you continue to evolve, you continue to see when as you're evolving, you're looking at this thing from a larger perspective. You don't have anything there to blind you or to block your understanding. Everyone that writes down their encounter, when you put it all together, you would come to find that the Most High is infinite, and that everybody's experience is going to be an expression of that when it's not created by society or another group of people who want to create power for themselves. And so just consider, if you're that person that's in the middle, that's at the crossroads, and you're like, should I go over here where I'm learning a lot more and I'm seeking a lot more answers, and I'm, starting to understand that, we're multidimensional beings, and yes, our natal charts and our connections in this way and in that way, and learning about nature and my connection with nature, I feel drawn to that. But then over here, I'm feeling like I have to stay chained and bound to this understanding because I have so many people in my ear telling me that that way is wicked. I'm here to tell you, once again, the person that tells you that you will find the creator of all things in this book and nowhere else, the person that tells you that anything outside of what you have been taught is wickedness, and that tells you do not ask questions, and the only questions that you should ask, if you can't find them in this book about the Most High God, you better run. Because that path right there has been a very wide path. And many people have walked it, very blinded to it, okay? Because they did not understand that they had been brainwashed and, been conditioned and had been placed into that position of thinking and that way of thinking through fear tactics of someone of a power, a so-called power hungry group of people that would create this religion in order to put you to sleep so that you would not understand the infinite possibilities of who the Most High is. Because if you understood the infinite possibilities of who the Most High is, then you would understand the infinite possibilities of who you are. And that's a scary thing for people who are power hungry. So if somebody tells you that they're going to condemn you to hell by reading scripture, then you better tell them they've already condemned themselves to hell because they have decided to box in one who cannot be boxed in by one text, one specific encounter in a specific time frame of existence, a very small one at that, being that the Most High has been here since the beginning and the end forever. But you'll tell me that a 2,000-year period defines everything about the Most High God. And not only that, but that whole 2,000-year period has been placed in one book. Well, I would have you ask them, does that one book go, because you would have to have, 365 days times 2,000 years. How many pages is that? But that would even be shortchanged because you got to consider how many people was actually alive at that time. So we only got a couple of people with encounters. What about everybody that lived during that time frame? Let's get a written document, a written text of everybody during that time in terms of who the Most High is. And it still wouldn't be enough to tell you the whole of who the Most High is. But these people have been so brainwashed and conditioned to believe that they find it in one book that has been tampered with. Most of it has been removed. Many things have been added to incite fear. This is the text. You better run. Go within. That divine connection that you're going to find is going to come from you going within. And when you go within, you're going to find that there's a lot of areas that needs to be cleaned up. That temple needs to be purified and cleansed so that you can then receive the messages and have that divine connection with the Most High God. I really had to get that off my chest, y'all. And so I hope that you all was able to gain an understanding of where I'm coming from here, because we don't want to get caught up in an opinion that has been largely influenced by people who only wanted to create power for themselves. Many people do not see this from a higher perspective. They're very low in their energy. And one thing about a lot of people who are Bible thumpers specifically, who will try to condemn you, are the most miserable people walking the face of the earth. And I can attest to that because I used to be one of them. Okay? I used to be one of them. But it made me feel like I had some sort of power or control when I could say, well, I can regurgitate to you some scriptures. And so, yeah, you're telling me that you have this understanding and that understanding, but where do you find it in the Bible? And if it's not in the Bible, then it ain't God. Which God are you referencing when you keep saying it's not God? Because there's many different ways to define a God, okay? You got many different people who have created different gods. But when you're talking about the Most High, which means infinite, there's nothing higher, okay? There's nothing outside of. You can't tell me that the only place that you're going to find the Most High is in a book. that I can hold in one hand. You got to be crazy. Okay? So that's what I got for y'all. I love you. I hope you was able to get something from this message. And I will talk to you all next time. Be sure to like and subscribe to my channel if you find that my messages resonate with you in any way. Talk to you all next time.